Welcome to Plant City Bonsai. I'm Steve Craddy, and we're about to film our summer video. I called Sebastian recently and said we have been blessed with a bounty of new bonsai materials, tools from Japan, and we want to spread the word, so he's here today to make that happen. So I appreciate this opportunity. It's not just one thing. I had a quest this season for incredible ball cypress, and the universe delivered. I have more beautiful ball cypress than ever before. I had a quest for bonsai tools, and I have an array, the best array of Japanese quality tools in years. So it's just very, very exciting. First I want to talk about this ball cypress right here. It's one of these ageless trees that this tree could be easily a couple of hundred years old. It's a natural dwarf, and the whole trunk is hollowed out. And it's hollowed out in a good way. It's very solid. There's no rotted wood. So this is going to be here for many, many generations for people to enjoy. This old gentleman here is a very, very, very old bougainvillea. It's actually imported from Taiwan. So it's not one that's just been transformed from a stump to a tree. It's legitimately extremely old, and it has a beautiful lighter purple bloom. And I'm so excited. It belongs to one of my clients, and he's anxious for this one to brack and bloom. And it's putting bracts out at every tip. So in about 30 days, he'll be enjoying incredible blooms, and therefore I'll be delivering it back to him when it's ready. And on this note, I did buy beautiful tropical bonsai and pre-bonsai, and we're about to leave this part of the garden and head over there. I'm excited to talk about them. This first tree I'd like to talk about, it's a subtropical. It's a podocarpus, also classified Buddhist pine, and this is just a beautiful example. I got it from a collection in Florida. Reggie did an incredible job with this, and I asked him how many hours it took to do the carving on this, and he said about 2 or 3. Well, after we calculated the total time he spent on this, it was more like 10 and 11 hours, and that just goes to show you, good shari takes much time, but they grow fast. This tree will probably be cut on, 4 or 5 times in the growing season. And if you're learning bonsai, having plants that need a lot of pruning, it's a joy. It's what makes this hobby what it is. Next tree is a Willow Ficus. This tree here, I wanted to get these little suckers off so you can kind of enjoy the display of surface roots. And it just sort of wanted to be potted. I potted it on a slant, and I think it's a very gorgeous tree. Now this is a tropical. This needs to be protected in the winter, but they're bulletproof. This next tree is a buttonwood. Just a few years ago, like 5 to 10 years ago, you would never see a buttonwood in my nursery. I did not know how to care for them, and I have several ideas of why I didn't succeed in those early years. I've learned these trees now. They're very easy. They just need their protection needs to be carried to a higher degree. And this tree here, I just bought on this last buying trip, and it just kind of, I thought it was just super dramatic. It's a small tree. Usually you see these as very large trees to be dramatic. But this is dramatic for several different reasons. The styling, it has a beautiful display of the shari as it is black now. As it dries, it will be a beautiful silvery gray. So it's just a gorgeous tree. The pot, perfect marriage of pot to tree, and I couldn't leave it behind. We call this Ficus Corner, at least for this time of year, and it includes some very dramatic specimens, and they're not the 2 and 3 men to carry the tree specimens. For instance, this right here that just blows my mind. It has a giant nabari, and just beautiful branching. It doesn't get much better than that right there. Very elegant. Here's one that's just a little smaller, but almost equally as dramatic. Beautiful nabari, good strong first branch. It's awesome. Also a very, very collectible pot. And here's a perfect tree, a perfect shohin tree put into the perfect pot. It's a perfect marriage. And then we get moved to the more extreme styles, which I just love. I love this cascade. And this tree does like 3 curls as it's going down the length of the pot. It's just a beautiful, wacky tree. Very tiny tree, not a lot of curviness, but still super interesting. I see somebody taking this tree and probably getting rid of the majority of the foliage, rebuilding it, and just having a pad of foliage about in this area here. Here's another one. Oh, this is pretty cool. My wife and Rachel, they both potted these trees, and they did a beautiful job. This old friend here has been with me a long time. I've actually sold it to 2 different clients, and it came home again. We've always called this a raft. It's not your typical raft, but the root system is really horizontal, and it just has a beautiful connection with the pot. And it's a Zhukova graybark elm, and it grows like crazy. One thing, this tree, it's such a happy tree, so your challenge is to keep it nice and opened up during the leafy season, where you can kind of see into the very interesting trunk. I would age this tree at over 50 years. This next tree is an import from China. It's a Chinese elm, and it's the kind that every few years we get really nice contrasting bark as it flakes. And what's outstanding about this particular one, and you have to do a little maintenance to achieve this. It loves its tiny foliage. It's being confined as it is. It's healthy, but the leaves are tiny, smaller than a Kingsville boxwood. So it's very old. It would be a 40-plus-year-old tree, and I've been maintaining it for a very long time, and it's bulletproof. It's very simple to take care of. This next tree is a fun tree. I would guess that this tree is as old as this tree. This one's always been grown in a very shallow vessel. For people who are intrigued with roots, this just is so intriguing. And the bend that it has is a very elegant bend. It's not what you see so much of now, where it's a spiral, perfect bend. And it's just gorgeous. And this old pot, this old round pot, is just so suitable for it. Love it. For several seasons now, we have needed a smaller black pine for the offering. And this season, people are really enjoying selecting their beginner black pines. You know, I'm suggesting put this in the ground for 5 years. You will be shocked pleasantly at the outcome after 5 years in the ground. This guy here, this is an old friend tree. It's actually part of a forest that I planted on a rock slab. The rock slab was as large as this, half as large as this table, and this was actually on one portion of the stone. Well, for years and years it was very admired. The stone was interesting in itself. It actually had a figurine of a horse, very elegant figurine, and the pose was the horse was drinking out of a little crevice made in the stone by Mother Nature. So it's always been one of our favorite ones. But then times happened where the trees became unhappy. We started losing one after another. And so this right here, these trees started out at 4 inches tall. They are now very, very dramatic, and they're very happy again. They started getting happy instantly when we took them off the slab and put them into this pot. And it's just still a favorite. We just received an order from Japan, from Yoshiaki, and I'm excited to get these tools. I've been out of several of these things for ages. This is a professional screening, and it's a little stiffer, and it's a larger hole. And for people who have large trees, I have this now for you. It's necessary for a large tree for drainage. Then one of my favorite tools is the Concave Cutter with the spring. If I can get this little safety cap off of it. This is a comfort tool. You use it all day. It's effortless, super sharp, and if you do a lot of cutting, this is a lifesaver. One other thing I wanted to mention, I haven't carried this tool in 25 years. It's Yoshiaki Tool. It's hand forged. It's actually, you can actually see how it is handmade. And it's ideal for getting deep into a tree where in fact the blades cross just a little bit at the tip to where they put the bite right at the very, very end for getting in to cutting off tender foliage that's usually impossible to get to. So very excited about the tools. I'll just move on to our last subject of today, and that is our bounty of wonderful, close to antique pottery, certainly ones we haven't seen in a long time. And just wanted to mention a couple. This is called the Boat. Very unique pot, has a beautiful stamp, and this used to be easy to get pot. Now you don't see them anymore. Just a beautiful, elegant square pot with a nice feet. Tokonami. This one has been was a solid cream, and whoever owned this pot had lots of iron in their water, and it's just given it a unique look, a unique patina. And then we have the Etched Pot. Have this in 3 sizes. And this is a pot I'm trying to figure out. I just bought this in a collection. It has 3 drain holes on one side of the pot. It's interesting. So at this time, I'd like to just say thank you for viewing this video. It's been a fun one to make. We have so much cool things for you to take home, and so I hope that you can, in the perfect world, come see me. If not, give me a call on the phone. I'll send pictures.